Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing Positional Playbook, a constraint-led approach. I'm grouping this into this because it's an interesting way of training that I have picked up a little bit more as an instructor, and I think can really benefit students. I personally have a view of games that maybe others don't have, or the new instructors feel doesn't work as well, whatever. So when I was coming up, we had positional sparring and King of the Hill. I understand through my conversations with people who are really big on the constraint-led approach in the games that this isn't quite the same. As an older gentleman, 15 years in, it's the same shit. I'm going to be honest. It's the same thing. And I know I'm going to get some heat for that. Some people, I've been in debates with people who are really about this approach, and they've said so much positive and they said so much negative about the traditional class structure, and they have been very vocal about it. But even in those discussions, I will point something out and we go back and forth. I'm not here to argue about it. I'm here to just explain my approach with my own students and how I think students can approach it for themselves. Some history. When I came up, we did a lot of drilling. I would get a technique from my instructor or maybe one that I found, and we had to drill that thing a ton of times outside of your class structure. It was homework, and it was not to be done during class. Old school. I understand it's probably not as old as some people think. Roughly 15 years ago. And so we did it. And that was the way we at the time felt we needed to get better. You need to learn it. I agree. Static drilling has its place, has its merits, and then it can also be an issue when you're doing it, for example, hundreds of times. I think that if a student doesn't know a technique, static drilling is a great thing to do. You learn the mechanics, the steps, and then you get to understand them a little bit better. And then once they become a little bit more muscle memory, then you apply them to a role or a game. I don't think that you should drill a technique with no resistance hundreds of times. And it's not beneficial. And I think it's a waste of your time, and I think it's a waste of valuable mat time that you can get. But again, early on, you have to learn the steps before you can really get to where we're going. So my personal belief, when I'm teaching, I teach in a traditional stance or a way, and I teach a technique. This is a step. This is a step. Okay, this is what we're going to do if this person does this. They drill, and then we're going to do this. And it's a multi-step phase. And what I've been doing lately is I've taught a subject. And then once I feel like the students have enough information and options, and we go over this over maybe the course of a couple of weeks, and then I start incorporating games, and we play off of what we've learned. Some people are going to argue that it's not the greatest way. That's on you guys. Me personally, I feel like I need to give you course materials before I can ask you to demonstrate any form of proficiency or building proficiency if you don't know what's not. You don't know what you don't know. It's my personal opinion. So then we start playing the games, and I will set up a specific situation and say, this is the winning parameters for player A. This is the winning parameters for player B. I set a timer for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, depending on what we're doing. And I just let them play. What I tell them personally is you do not have to go 100%. I want you to be exploratory. I want you to explore different options. I want you to play different things. I want you to understand the position. I want you to fail, and I want you to succeed. Sometimes failures are the success. So when they play, because I have a morning class and we're not competition enthusiasts per se, they will play the game, and it's not going 100%. I will literally tell them, you do not have to go 100%. These people have to go to work that same morning. So I don't need them to kill each other and get injured or so tired that when they get to work, they can't function. So we're in a different situation than maybe a competitor. So we play the games. And then once the time runs out, I have them switch from top to bottom or defender attacker. And then we do the same thing. I have them break for water real quick. We come back. I will set up a slightly different game. And then maybe I'll add on a rule. For example, if bottom person had to get an underhook from bottom half, top person had to prevent the underhook. And maybe I made it so truncated that those were the only two options the first time. Then the second time is top person, your job is to prevent the underhook, and your job is to pass. Bottom person, your job is to get the underhook, or regain close guard, for example, or come up. So then I start adding things based on their level of understanding and what I feel like they can handle. And we might do this a third time. And I'll do this for a week. I'll play out these different scenarios and different games for a week. Last week and this week, we've been doing top side control. So last week we did, if I remember correctly, top half. And we had specific rules for the top half person. And then on one day, and then the next day we did, all right, we're going to do top side control. We played those games. And on the second or third iteration, I was added a new wrinkle. Sometimes I had to let them know that the games that we're going to be playing are very one-sided. So, for example, bottom person, let's say you are in bottom mount. Top person, your job is to hold that first round. We're just going to hold. You do not lose the position. You do not allow your partner to get to a guard of any choice. Bottom person, your job is to reverse the position or get to a guard. And in this scenario, because I had talked about how to make your feet heavier so that they can't lift the ankle and get to half or quarter guard. Because I discussed that, I said, top person, these are your rules. Bottom person, you are to reverse the position or get some kind of a guard. And because we had discussed that specifically, when they got to quarter guard, for example, and they were just able to get an ankle, I called it a win. Because we had talked about something very specific during the demonstration of the class. Then on the next go around, top person, your job is to submit. Bottom person, you have to escape, or reverse the position, or get to a guard. If you disengage completely somehow, that was always a winning parameter for bottom person. So you can make up these games, and yes, there's places that you can get the games from. You can find several of them on YouTube. Kit Dale has a bunch of them on his website. So they're readily available. You can also just be creative and set certain things up. As you do this, as instructors, some of them are going to play better than others. And as you gain more experience, you start to understand, well, this winning parameter didn't make a whole lot of sense because of this and this. So if you mess up, you mess up. It's not a big deal. You understand the positions. You understand, okay, this didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. You fix it for the next class. The reason I'm discussing this is because it's really beneficial, because these games truncate what's possible and force you to understand certain specific scenarios a lot better than if you just rolled. The reason I play these is because of that, and because most students cannot be trusted, and I say this lightly but seriously at the same time, cannot be trusted to force themselves to play a game or a specific scenario. I came from a background where we were given homework, so I'm used to it. I give my students homework now. One of them has to play top game. He's not allowed to go to his back. Another one has to play bottom half. Another one has their own homework. And we'll do this homework until either I get bored with it or I feel like they've made progressions. But that's the student relationship that I have. Students on their own don't always force themselves into these positions because oftentimes these positions create losing scenarios. And I get it. We don't want to lose. And if you're someone who says, you know what, I'm going to play bottom mount every time I roll, there isn't a whole lot of students that actually go out of their way to do that. If they find themselves there, then they'll work their escapes and their survival techniques and so on. But they won't intentionally put themselves there. They won't intentionally start around there, and they won't allow their partner to put them there. So that's where the games come in play. Because there's a psychological aspect of the game where you understand this is what we're going to play. And yes, the deck might be stacked against me, and it's okay. It kind of gets, it takes the onus off of you to win, per se. And you understand, hey, I'm going to start at the bottom of mount. The winning parameter is X, Y, Z. Top person's winning parameters, yada, yada, yada. And we're just going to play. Every time I put this together, I always say, do not have to go 100%. And I want you to explore. This takes away all the other shit and all the other noise that is outside of this position. The things you're really good at. So I might give you a winning parameter. Let's say I know that you're great at, let's say, trapping the leg from bottom of mount and then going to half guard. Maybe I set up the parameters. So I need you to bridge, trap, and roll. That is your winning parameter. Now you have to go that route. You have to find ways to make that work. And because I've reduced everything down to that, you understand that the odds are against you. You're playing something you're not great at. And every time you lose, you're just like, okay, I just got to get back into it. So you're getting more mat time in that specific situation with that specific goal set in mind. And it's forcing you to have to work that. It's a different it's a different training approach. So there are students who can do that on their own. They'll force the round to go that route, and then they'll replay the same scenario, and they'll do the same escape or the same submission. Plenty of students that are great at that. I am one of those people that loves doing that. I'll force a given round back to the thing that I need to work on. But oftentimes, especially the ones that are coming up, they don't want to relinquish the possible win, so they rely on their A game. And these games will force you to have to do something different. You can create these games however you want. You also don't need an instructor. So let's say me and my buddy want to get together and we want to train a little extra after or before a class. Maybe it's an open mat. You can do these whenever. As long as you have mat space, you have a training partner, you can set these winning parameters however you want. The thing that I'm working on is I want to pass the guard. But I want to pass the guard and not touch the mat with my hands. That's a big one. So let's say I'm going to start in top half. If I touch the mat, lava. That means Kimuras. If I'm in someone's closed guard, that means Kimuras and omoplatas. So it's healthy to learn not to touch the mat. So you get with your partner, whether you're in closed guard or half guard, you're on top, they're on bottom. You tell them, I need you to, these are your winning parameters. You got to make me touch the mat or off balance me enough that I end up touching the mat. That's your winning parameter. My winning parameter is that I pass the guard without doing so. So then you just play. You set the timer or you don't set a timer at all. And you guys just play. It's lighthearted. It can be as intense as you want to be. And then you both know what you're working on. And then you reverse the position and let them work. Or you give them something completely different. Maybe they're working on, I'm trying to learn how to get to the collar and keep you from standing in my closed guard. So now I'm on my back. I have the closed guard on you. My job is to prevent you from ever standing. That's the winning parameter. If you can stand, you win, we reset. My job can be endless. It can be, we're just going to go a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And my job is to never let you stand. That's the winning parameter. Or I can add to that once I feel comfortable. Now my job is to make your hands touch the mat and never let you stand. So now that teaches me control. And it also teaches me how to start going for Kimuras and omoplatas. Maybe my winning parameter is 2-on-1s. If I can get the 2-on-1 and I can push your elbow and we're close guard across my belt line, my belly button, I win. Maybe my winning parameter is I want to be able to get you onto your back from my close guard. So my winning parameters are sweep or hip bump. So now we're going to play that. Top person, your job is just to not allow that to happen. So we can play these games and they can be endless. They can be very specific or they can be broad. They can be submission specific or transition or sweep. They can be as creative as you want them to be. And so the reason why I put this in this positional playbook series is because you can take advantage of how you want to play these games. You do not need the instructor to set these up for you. You don't need to be in a classroom setting. You can do this in your garage if you have an open mat. If you have mats, you can do these at an open mat. You can do these in a private lesson so that maybe your instructor can give you feedback on what you're doing. This gives you so many options. This series or this type of training is hugely beneficial. We did it as situational sparring. And I get it. Some people are going to argue that it's not the same thing. To me, it's the exact same thing. Maybe a little bit more detailed, maybe a little bit more specific, but it's the same thing. We would do these with like King of the Hill type things. So you would have like 3 people down, 4 people down, however the mat allows. And everyone else would be on the wall. And anyone that came in, they would have to start in a certain position. Let's say they came in, they were standing in your De La Riva guard. Bottom person's job is to sweep. Top person's job is to pass. It's a constraint-led approach. It's a game. And then whoever won got to stay, and the person that stayed on their back. So then the next person will come and you sweep them. The next person will come and you sweep them. Now you're playing against your cardio, your stamina, fresh people, quote unquote. So it's beneficial. These games are hugely beneficial for you guys. You do not need me or an instructor to set them up. You can do them on your own. That's the benefit of it. And they are so much better than static drilling 200-300 of whatever technique you're doing, like I was doing back in the day. And I'm not knocking that. I think that's what we knew at the time. And there was, for a long time, we had like this drillers make killers mentality, which worked for a long time. But I generally think once you have a working knowledge of any position, these games are probably the way to go. They're more active. They're more player friendly. They're fun. It's enjoyable. I've been doing it the last couple of weeks. I do it sporadically, but the last couple of weeks I've been incorporating it more because I'm doing more control base from top. So I'll show, hey, these are the control points that I like from top side. This is what I'm working on. This is what I like to hold. This is what I'm looking for. I'll show them a few minutes. I let them play with it for a little bit in a static situation, and then I have them play the game. So we can do this a bunch of different ways. I just think that we need to be more functional in understanding how we can adapt to these, even in a traditional sense. And I'm hoping that more people play these. I know some schools will teach specifically off of this, which is great. And some of schools like myself are doing more of a blend of the traditional sense and the more game-oriented. If you have any questions on these, again, I'm not a super expert on this, but if you have any questions on how I'm applying this or something I didn't touch on, hit me up, dfm.2099 on Instagram and Threads. We also have a school program or a school group, SKOOL. I have the link in the bio. You can also just Google me in or search me in the school directory, DFM Coaching BJJ. Again, any questions, please hit me up. Also, like, share, review goes a long way. Until next time, thank you so much.